Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my ranking of every revival era film from Disney Animation. So a little bit back, I actually did a revival ranking, but I didn't include the 2D animation in my ranking. I just felt they were so disconnected from the rest of the films that maybe I shouldn't include them. But here we are. Frozen 2 was just released, so this felt like the perfect time to remedy that ranking and give you a full on countdown of all 10 of the revival films, starting with Princess and the Frog all the way through to 2019's Frozen 2. So, as always, this is just my opinion. This is my personal ranking, and I cannot wait for you all to share your own rankings in the comment section down below so we can discuss this pretty amazing era of Disney animation. Now, I'm going to be honest, I did find this to be quite difficult to rank these 10 films because I enjoy all 10 of them. There's not a bad movie in the bunch. And honestly, there's definitely a case to be made that the revival era is the strongest era Disney has ever had. Now, that's not what we're here to discuss today, but keep in mind, all 10 of these movies are really good. So let's cut the chit chat, stop all this blabber, and get into the ranking. Coming in at number 10, I have Winnie the Pooh. So this 2011 film was quite the surprise, honestly. It was very delightful, such a charming little film that really captured the essence of Winnie the Pooh that we all know and love. The vocal work here was really good. Eeyore got his time to shine, and Eeyore is forever my fave and really my spirit character, if you will. Across all of media, honestly. Eeyore and me, we're here. But what keeps this film down and caused it to land at number 10 is that it is kind of a little anthology, much like the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh is. And while it's a lovely film, it just isn't one that has the staying power. It's not one that stands out in your mind. There isn't a big story to connect to. It comes in just over an hour long. It's very short. And I definitely think it's aimed at a bit of a younger audience than the rest of the films here. So I really enjoy it. I think it's a lovely movie, but it just wasn't quite able to make its way out of the last position. Coming in at number 9, I have Tangled. Kind of the rom com of the Disney revival era, if you will. Tangled is another one that I found perfectly fine. It's a funny, fun adventure film, but it just doesn't stack up for me when you look at the entire revival era. Mandy Moore has a lovely presence and a perfectly lovely voice. I love Zachary Levi. And honestly, Flynn Rider, top notch. But really, it's the animals who steal the show in this film. The jokes are fun, the lantern scene is gorgeous, and Mother Knows Best is certainly the villain song of this era. But it just doesn't stand out to me. It doesn't have those big moments. Most of the songs are okay for what they are. It just didn't have the big magical moments for me. It didn't endear me with these characters as much as the other films. So that's why it just gets to number 9. At number 8, I have Frozen. Yes, the cultural phenomenon that is Frozen comes in at number 8. Now, a lot of people will say Let It Go is an overrated song. I tend to disagree on that front. I think it's a pretty stellar song, and that's why it broke out like it did. But for me, the only other real standout song from the original Frozen was For the First Time in Forever. The rest of the music is cute, is fine, or is just bad. Yeah, there are two straight up clunkers in Frozen for me. Fixer Upper, no thank you. In Summer is not it either. But I love Elsa. I think she is such a great role model that girls have latched onto. Anna is cute. Sven is wonderful. And then there's Olaf, which he works in small doses in this film. That's the problem. Elsa is really the only character I latched on to in this film. Everybody else is fine. They're serviceable. The story has a lot of problems when it comes to that script, and I definitely wanted to get deeper into these characters, but I loved the overall message of sisterly love and flipping that Disney trope on its head. The big show-stopping moments definitely elevated over the other two films, but it has way too many flaws to move it any higher than number 8. To begin, at number 7, I have The Princess and the Frog. Now, Princess Tiana is honestly one of the best role models for young people. She is a hard worker. She is determined. She has actual goals. She's actually striving towards something. And her main song, Almost There, perfectly just sums all of that up. And for me, it's one of the underrated songs in Disney. Prince Naveen is a big old brat. We're just going to say that right now. But I do think their chemistry grows on you and gets to the point it needs to make it all believable. Plus, a lot of our side characters are very sweet, and the whole Evangeline is just, ugh, kills you by the end of this movie. And Dr. Facilier is a really cool villain. I enjoyed the dark magic that he brought into it and really getting into that root of the bayou of Louisiana. And I love that the entire film really stayed true to all of that. But it's definitely disappointing that we finally get a black princess and she's a frog for most of the movie. And a lot of the story itself is just very ho-hum, average, run-of-the-mill. The animation is stunning. But then again, all of the songs outside of Almost There aren't very memorable. So it has a lot of heart. It has a lot of things that I love. But at the end of the day, especially when it comes to the princess films, it just doesn't stand out. Coming in at number 6, I have Frozen 2. After thinking about it, I would definitely say I think Frozen 2 is a step up from its predecessor. To start, I think there's only one clunker this time around, and it comes from Olaf again. But the music as a whole is all very strong. So while we don't have a Let It Go here, at least not to me personally, the music throughout is just consistently really strong. I think this movie does a great job at character development and giving us those connections that we desperately wanted from the first film. They're here. Add on these wonderful magical elements, this beautiful world building, and I had a lot of fun with Frozen 2. It definitely feels like a more coherent story, and it really worked on most levels. Now, I do think the pacing was the biggest problem here and what really keeps it from moving into my top 5, but I still really enjoyed Frozen 2, and that's why it's at number 6. Coming in at number 5, I have Big Hero 6. So first of all, I absolutely love Baymax. I adore Baymax. I will die for Baymax. But wow, what a lovable character. I don't know that we've had such a just genuinely lovable character like that since I can't even tell you when in a Disney movie. Plus, I really love the commentary about community in times of grief. All of that really worked well for me. The villain, not great. He looks cool, but very mustache twirly. And it definitely felt like a Marvel film, down to a meh villain and all. But the action is beautiful. The characters all are really fun and work well off of each other. There's a lot to laugh at. And best of all, there's a lot of heart in Big Hero 6. Our main character's journey sees some of the best character growth we've had in the revival era. And that's really what lifts Big Hero 6 up to number 5. At number 4, I have Ralph Breaks the Internet. This was the first sequel we've received in the revival era, and one of the very few sequels Disney Animation has released to theaters ever. And wow, was it warranted. What a great movie! What I loved most about Ralph Breaks the Internet is the message of friendship, and honestly, what friendship is and what it can look like, what it means, and in saying that, what it is not. And this movie tackles a really deep message like that so well. And the evolution of that friendship between Ralph and Vanellope was just so sophisticated and really shocking that they took it to that level and executed it this well. Plus, I loved their interpretation of the internet. It was done perfectly and really in a way that gave you those fan servicey moments you wanted, but it never felt shallow. It always had a purpose and something clever there. And then the Disney princesses, I mean, come on. They were amazing in this movie, and I'm just ready for them to have their own film as a little team. It was great. I think some of the stuff with Ralph and like this big old Ralph monster at the end wasn't quite executed as well as you'd hope, but overall, I think Ralph Breaks the Internet is a stellar sequel and clearly one of my favorites from the revival era. Coming in at number 3, I have WreckIt Ralph. Yeah, these two pretty much go hand in hand. I love them both just about the same. What puts the original just above the sequel for me is the really wonderful representation and messaging about toxic masculinity and just breaking that down. Add to that this really unique and heartfelt story of a villain and how he's viewed, how he's portrayed, and it worked wonders for me. I thought it was fantastic. Vanellope is wonderful, such an adorable person with spunk that you get to love throughout this film, and the building friendship between the two of them in this movie is what sets up the greatness in the second movie. But it's already great here too. Plus, the racing is a whole lot of fun. Our villain here, wonderful, and it all just works for me. I think WreckIt Ralph is funny, it's fun, and it really grabs at those heartstrings. I love it. So coming in at number 2, I have Zootopia. Talk about sophisticated film for children. Zootopia takes on some really heavy, deep messages and delivers them perfectly in a way that never feels preachy and never talks down to the audience. This script is fantastic. Add to that a really fun villain twist, yes, and these great animal moments as we jump from one world to the next, going to all these different terrains. It is a blast. Plus, it's a buddy cop movie, and it's a really fun animated buddy cop movie with 2 great lead characters. Of course, stunning animation and a lot of laughs along the way. Zootopia is really that great. So it's no wonder, in a year that was packed full of great animated films, this came out the winner at the Academy Awards. However, here on this countdown, it's getting beaten out by another film that came out later that year. So, in at number 1, my favorite film of the Disney revival era is Moana. I would say from a storytelling perspective, maybe there are more holes, maybe there are more errors, but I'm just going to be honest, nothing hit me as hard as Moana did. And this was the one I went back and back and back to see in the theaters because the story just resonated so well with me. First of all, the music is amazing. How Far I'll Go is like an anthem for the ages. I love it so much. All of the music here, though, from Lin-Manuel Miranda is really fantastic. I loved Moana as a character, and I think that's what really elevated all of this film for me, but her journey and her accomplishment is what really drove it. Plus, her relationship with her grandmother is just cherry on top. The animation, again, it's a Disney animation, so it's going to be stunning. But what they're able to do with this water, with this tropical background that they have, is really beautiful. The characters are fun and funny. They're able to make this chicken that should have been super annoying really endearing. Pua, oh, Pua steals my heart. And I really liked the villain of it all as well. Again, I know it has its problems. I know people have problems with it. But honestly, I push those to the side because this film is the one that really just struck a chord with me and has to be my number 1 favorite film of the Disney revival era. So that's it. That is my list and my ranking of the 10 films from the Disney revival era. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead, click like, down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Make sure you leave your own Disney revival rankings in that comment section down below and let me know what you thought of how I ranked the films. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.